Hey, horror fans, welcome back to Jay versus Horror. And today, guys, we've got five new, awesomely underrated horror films for you that you can watch 100% for free. We will put the links in the description to this video. When you're done watching the video, you just scroll down, or if any point you hear something you think you want to go check out, scroll down to the description, click on the link, boom, you're right there. It's 100% free, 100% legal. You may have to watch some commercials, but that's not any different than the normal TV that most of us grew up with, where you had to watch commercials. But yeah, so let's get started, guys. We got some great movies for you today. At number five, we have Nails from 2017. I really like this one. It was a little overlooked when it came out. Let's see here. It's got Ross Noble, who is a very funny guy and played Stitches in the killer clown movie Stitches, movie about a clown who is accidentally killed at a birthday party and comes back years later to haunt the kids. This sounds a little bit similar because both of the movies that I'm going to talk about here sound like a Nightmare on Elm Street to an extent. I mean, Stitches sounds like a Nightmare on Elm Street if it was funny uh, and had better music. but yeah, and then of course this one, Nails, also has a similar vibe because we have Shauna McDonald here too from The Descent, and she's out running one day and she gets into an accident. Now she's taken to the hospital, and here she starts to experience some strange supernatural things, sees some stuff that's quite freaky, and then she is told the story of Nails, who is a serial killer who abducted, kidnapped, and tortured children, and apparently died inside this hospital, and now, comes after people's souls as this weird supernatural creature. It doesn't look like a person. It's actually kind of a little creepy, yeah. Good story, good movie. Nails from 2017. Can't go wrong. We have Shauna McDonald and uh, Ross Noble here, so you can't go wrong. Ross Noble's funny just to watch. Actually, he's not that funny in this movie. He's playing it straight a little bit, but yeah. Moving on. At number four, guys, we have Found from 2012. This is one where, I think some people have heard of it, some people haven't still. And that's interesting because it's probably one of the better horror films of the last decade. It revolves around this, kind of lost kid, about 12 years old, who, I say lost, I mean, in terms of his life, he's not, really figured out who he is yet, and he's starting to go through puberty. He's starting to have a lot of things happen, and he doesn't really have anybody to look up to. His dad's kind of a prick. His mom seems to be, where she's not doesn't have a tight grasp on reality because she doesn't really even understand any of the other characters in the film. And of course, he has a brother who he does look up to, but the brother has his own issues, as we find out. And so this movie is this kid moves along and he discovers something in his brother's bedroom that changes his life, and then he sees his brother very differently. Just not to give too much away here, but the brother is a serial killer, and so this all culminates. It's kind of a thriller almost. There's times where things happen, like he invites a buddy over to watch a video that his brother's made of some of the killings he's done, and yeah, it's got thriller elements, it's got dramatic elements, it's also got like hardcore shock extreme elements. They made a follow up to this movie called Headless, which if you like extreme shocking films, those type of movies, go check out Headless, because Headless is basically the video that his brother made. He was trying to make like a cheesy 80s VHS movie. uh, but yeah, I've found is one of the better films that nobody really talks about. I highly recommend you guys check it out. It's really hard to get into it too much without just telling you guys that it is a thriller. It's also a drama, and it has these great horror elements. Don't sleep on it, because trust me, there's some great imagery in here. It comes off a little slow at the beginning, I guess is what I'm trying to get to, while we're getting the story, but the end of this film will definitely stick with you forever. You see things that happen to people in life, and you're like, how's that person up walking around? Something like this could happen to other people, and they would be completely traumatized, and they'd never make it out of a mental health hospital, mental health facility again after seeing something like this. Well, the end of this movie is one of those things that if you knew this kid and knew what he went through, you'd be asking yourself, how the hell is he up, walking around able to make it through life after something like this? So yeah, it's a good film. Moving on, The Monitor from 2011. I love this film. All these films that I chose today, I kind of chose for different reasons, and this one is a paranormal horror film, but it's not like Nails. There's not a vicious creature in it. It's a mystery. And basically, what we have here is a woman who's setting out on a new life with her son. She moves into this kind of cold, it's one of those buildings where there's lots of people that live there, and there's probably 3 or 4 of these buildings pretty close to each other. And it just seems like a cold place where nobody talks to each other, nobody's friends. And she is very much about sticking to herself because she's fighting with her ex-husband over the custody of her son and basically her sanity, because he keeps gaslighting her and showing up and pushing her when nobody's around. And he's also got like the authorities looking into her situation because she doesn't have a nice place. And so that's what we're told. Now what happens next is that she's very paranoid at this point. She's been through a lot. And so she sets up a baby monitor in her son's room so she can hear him while he's asleep at night, just in case anything funny goes down. And what she hears on the other end of it is the stuff of urban legend, right? These are the kind of stories we hear all the time. Well, there was a voice on the other end of the baby monitor or something, and a lot of times people say, well, it was a scrambled cop radio, or it was a ham radio from down the street, Mr. Johnson's house. And truthfully, people don't know. It's one of those like urban legend type things that's fun to talk about. But in this one, there is something going on. She can hear another child, and she can also hear some like arguing and fighting. She starts to uncover a mystery that has taken place inside the building, but nobody believes her because everyone thinks they're doing the old, oh, she's a female, she's overreacting. Of course, she's paranoid, she's schizophrenic, all this other stuff. If you're a woman, they get to the conclusion of you're crazy a lot quicker than they do if you're a man, which is sad, but that's the way that a lot of these movies work plot-wise, right? Somebody starts being accused, and she has to then prove that she's not crazy. So yeah, this is a good movie. I'm probably not going to say her name right. Naomi Rapace, I believe is her name. Yes, and she went on to do some other good stuff, including The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And she's very good in this as this mother who's trying to figure out what's going on, but she's also trying to hold on to her sanity, build a new life for her son, fight off her ex-husband, all kinds of stuff going on in this. And so, that plays into it too, the overall stress of all the situations she's in, and then this new situation which seems supernatural. Good film, The Monitor from 2011. Now, at number 2, this one's purely for fun, folks. I put this one in there for the people who love bad movies. This one's called 100 Tears from 2007, and it's directed by Marcus Koch, who goes on to get his hands inside the American Guinea Pig franchise. And in my opinion, he's one of the more talented people to get his hands in that franchise. He's actually a decent director with decent vision, even though his films are small and terrible. He's also he does his own effects a lot of the time too. But with this film, it's just another clown story, guys. But it's kind of like Terrifier good before Terrifier. So if you like those kinds of movies, you'll like this. It's done on the cheap. It's bad. The acting is not always great, but I think it's like I said, Marcus has more of an eye and more talent than a lot of these small, indie shock film directors. He finds some humor in this story. There's always a couple laughs here and there, and it's basically the story of a clown who goes on a rampage, and then, there's these 2 investigative reporters trying to, get the background on the story of Gertie the clown, and they end up getting trapped by him and his daughter, and, it's kind of a survival film. Can they get out or not? It's a gory movie. It's fun. It's been a few years since I've seen it, but it used to be on... There was, when I first got Roku, the first Roku I bought was probably like 2010 or something. And So I hooked it up, and they had all these channels on there that were like illegal channels. People could build their own channels. They've gotten all rid of all this since then, mostly. Excuse me. But yeah, people could build their own channels, and they could show whatever they want. So they had this thing called Justin TV, and it was like a provider that then had hundreds of channels on it. And so they would have like 24 hours Simpsons, 24 hours Dragon's Den, by the way, which is the Canadian Shark Tank, guys, came before Shark Tank. But they would have all these, channels with different things going on in them. They had 7 or 8 different channels that ran bad movies. That's what they were titled. That's what the channel was titled, was bad movies. And this is one I used to see on all of them quite a bit. Every time it was on, I would stop and watch it. It's actually pretty damn good for a bad movie. So I'm trying to, go through here and pick stuff for everybody. We've got the creature feature supernatural thing with nails. We've got Found, which is kind of a dramatic thriller horror film. It's great. That's a great movie, guys, all the way through, and then it has a great ending. The Monitor, which is one that I thought for people who like Paranormal Activity, people who like Insidious, stuff like that, they would be more of a fan of The Monitor. 100 Tears is for the movie freaks like me out there who enjoy a good bad movie every now and then. And number one, guys, I put this one in here, and it's, I'm actually defeating my own rule here. I don't think this one's that underrated. Maybe it is a little underrated because I don't see people talk about it as much. But I think the problem with this one is that you can't go to HBO Max or Netflix or any like mainstream place and find this movie, no matter how many times you've heard it talked about. And it is Audition from 1999 from director Takashi Miike. And this is, in my opinion, his masterpiece film. I fucking love this movie. It's the Japanese version of Fatal Attraction, except for it's scary. This man is a widower. He sets up these series of auditions, and these women come in thinking they're auditioning for a part, but really he's trying to find a new love in his life. And he just happens to meet a little girl with a bad attitude. Actually, she's got a pretty good attitude. This is kind of empowering for women, even to a certain extent. Like, hey, who the fuck do you think you are? You could just do this to all these women, right? You think you could use all these women and there wasn't going to be any consequence to that? No. Here we meet a character just like Glenn Close's character in Fatal Attraction when she tells Michael Douglas, I won't be ignored. And you see her sitting in the dark, turning the light on and off, on and off, on and off. We get some similar scenes here. This one, the girl is sitting by herself, rocking while a telephone is ringing, and then something absolutely insane happens. The movie's long. It takes it a while to get going. And so while you're watching it, you start to get the vibe that there is some kind of a psychological thing going on here. And you see that the girl has some issues, right? But the movie plays one of those mean tricks like Psycho or Possession from 1981, where it gets about 45 minutes, almost an hour into this movie before you realize, oh, it is a horror movie. Because then something crazy happens and we go on this wild ride from there. And here we see the depths of this woman's psychosis. The fact she is not happy that she has been used in this audition process. And she even ends up being one of the girls that this guy meets. I don't know if he met multiple girls or not. I can't remember. But he met with her and they had a date. And he kind of used her then too, And so she's sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. And when that doesn't happen, she gets wild, man. She's just wild. It's good stuff. Trust me. Audition from 1999. It's worth it, man. I know it's long in the tooth. And some of you guys are going to be like, ah. If you like shocking stuff, keep watching because it's coming. If you like great psychological horror films, thrillers, keep watching because it's coming. If you just like good, dramatic fucking movies that work, watch it. It's coming. It's all there, guys. That's all we got for today. I'm going to put the links in the description, guys. Please don't forget to like, subscribe. We really want you to subscribe. If you don't like the video, then I wouldn't want you to like the video. But if you subscribe, even if you didn't like this video, you might like the next one. Or you might find a movie in the next one you're like, I always try to keep the 5 movies that we do balanced. Keep them, different subgenres and stuff like that. We're trying to get Brian Carlson back on so we can do another double episode where we'll have 10 movies, but Brian is a busy, busy guy right now about to get married, and so congratulations to him and Whitney on that. And guys, we will talk to you the next time we got something we're talking about. Bye.